In the annals of history, there exists no name quite as titanic as that of Alexander the Great. Born in 356 BCE in the ancient kingdom of Macedonia, Alexander's destiny was woven with threads of legend, ambition, and seemingly divine will. But who was he really? A mortal man driven by phenomenal intellect and insuppressible ambition? Or was he something more? A figure touched by the divine, immortalized through his conquests. In this journey through antiquity, let's unravel the enigma of Alexander the Great to explore whether he was a man, a god, or an amalgamation of both. Our story begins in ancient Macedonia, where a young boy named Alexander was born to King Philip II of Macedon and Queen Olympias. His lineage alone suggests he was no ordinary child. Philip, a renowned and often ruthless warrior king, had ambitions that stretched beyond the borders of Macedonia, while Olympias was steeped in mysticism and belief in the gods. Legend says that Olympias saw herself visited by Zeus, the king of the gods, in the form of a lightning bolt on the night of Alexander's conception. This divine narrative of origin wasn't merely familial myth. It became a foundation for Alexander's own belief, and later that of his followers, that he was connected to the gods. But before deity was attributed to him, Alexander was molded into an unparalleled intellect. At the age of 13, he was placed under the tutelage of none other than Aristotle, the greatest philosopher of the ancient world. This mentorship was transformative. Aristotle not only groomed Alexander in philosophy, ethics, and science, but also crafted his understanding of leadership and conquest. Through Aristotle, Alexander debated the nature of the human soul, while simultaneously learning the pragmatics of worldly dominion. Memorable accounts from his youth abound. One such story involves Bucephalus, the mighty steed that no one but Alexander could tame. With cunning and calm, he discerned Bucephalus's fear of shadows, turning the challenge into a demonstration of dominance and empathy. At just 12 years old, this profound act symbolized what would become a lifelong narrative: Alexander's ability to conquer the unconquerable. With this preparation, life thrust him into unparalleled challenges at a young age. By 20, following the assassination of his father Philip, Alexander ascended to the Macedonian throne. Many rulers inherit kingdoms. Alexander envisioned empires. Guided by a fusion of divine conviction and relentless ambition, he embarked on a mission to unite and dominate the known world. His conquests began with a decisive campaign to suppress dissenting states in Greece, ensuring loyalty before turning his attention outward. He declared war against the expansive Persian Empire, ruled by the King of Kings, Darius III. His battle strategies remain the stuff of legend. At the pivotal Battle of Gaugamela in 331 BCE, Alexander demonstrated an unmatched military genius. Despite being vastly outnumbered, he used the terrain to his advantage, executing intricate formations that overwhelmed the Persian forces. Those who watched him fight spoke of Alexander as unstoppable, almost otherworldly. His presence inspired loyalty, and his vision won not only battles, but the hearts of thousands. It wasn't brute force alone that defined his empire. Wherever Alexander marched, he built. He founded more than 20 cities, the most iconic being Alexandria in Egypt, which became a beacon of culture and intellectual vitality. Speaking of Egypt, it was during his campaign there that Alexander's divine narrative took a legendary twist. In 332 BCE, he visited the Oracle of Amun at the Siwa Oasis. This visit was seen as no ordinary military gesture. The priests of the temple, upon meeting Alexander, hailed him as the son of Zeus Amun. Whether driven by politics, faith, or opportunistic dramatics, this moment cemented the image of Alexander not just as a king, but as a living god to those under his rule. Priests publicly deified him, and whispers of divine lineage spread across his empire. Yet, Alexander didn't merely sit on the laurels of this faith. He earned his divinity in the eyes of many by constantly defying human limitations in both body and mind. One of the most fascinating aspects of Alexander's character was his interaction with different cultures. He sought not to stamp out the ideologies of Persia, Egypt, or India, but to integrate them, forging a blend of customs, governance, and gods that transcended boundaries. In Persia, he adopted local dress and customs, marrying Roxana, a Persian noblewoman, thus making alliances personal as well as political. When faced with the daunting armies of India in 326 BCE at the Battle of the Hydaspes, Alexander's global ambition once again won out. The king of the region, Porus, fell, but Alexander respected his valor and made him an ally instead of an adversary. What other ruler of his time had such comprehensive foresight? But even legends are mortal. Alexander's history was abruptly cut short in 323 BCE at the age of 32, at the height of his power. He was in Babylon, laying plans for new military campaigns and administrative reforms, when fate intervened. The cause of his death is still debated: natural illness, fever, or even poisoning. However, what cannot be debated is the legacy he left behind. His empire, though short-lived as a political entity, splintered into factions ruled by his generals, known as the Diadochi. But as a cultural force, the Hellenistic age ushered in by Alexander's conquests endured, reshaping the world long after his death. Was Alexander truly a god? From a historical perspective, it's important to question myths and recognize political motivations. Alexander's deification served practical purposes, solidifying his rule and reducing resistance among his diverse subjects. Yet when the divine becomes embedded in a legacy, we cannot ignore the human tendency to believe in something greater than itself. It is possible that Alexander's influence was so profound, his mark left so indelible on the human psyche, that people needed a narrative of godhood from which to understand his achievements. Perhaps Alexander's dichotomy as man and god lies in the duality of his existence. He was a mortal figure whose life bordered on the otherworldly. He tamed the wild, united vast realms, crossed borders the ancient Greeks thought impossible, and left behind ideas that defy even time. In life, he walked a path of ambition, but in death, he ascended into myth. Some might say he ceased to be a man, but not so much as born a god, instead achieving a kind of immortality that history itself could not deny. So, we return to our initial question. Was Alexander the Great merely a mortal king? Or was he, as many of his contemporaries believed, touched by divinity? Maybe the answer lies in the blending of both: a mortal man who dared to dream as a god, whose unquenchable thirst for greatness irreversibly shaped the world; a man who stood among mortals, but dared to carve his name alongside the divine. If you were enthralled by the tale of Alexander the Great, don't forget to like this video, share your interpretations of his legacy in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more myths, mysteries, and the larger-than-life figures who shape our world. Thank you for watching, and until next time, dare to dream of immortality, just as Alexander did.